Hello and welcome to TeaFairy Storytime. We are here with episode 3 at Greenbelt Access Television, also known as GATE. And I am drinking some tea out of my very special cup. This was given to me by my grandmother. There's a little angel here and some roses. Yummy. Ooh, that's good. Do you guys drink tea? Tea is made from all kinds of herbs and flowers and things. I like to drink floral teas. I think one of my favorites is rose and hibiscus. What's your favorite tea? I know a lot of people drink peppermint or chamomile. Those are real popular. Well, I am a literary fairy, and if you have not tuned into the previous episodes, what I do is I share children's literature, and I share books that are sent to me by authors from all over the world. And today's stories are Who You Are, written by Jessi Hersey and illustrated by Lizaveta Tarayuk. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Names are hard. And this is only book 1 of this series. The second book will be Jericho Alley, written by Lisa Colodney and illustrated by Oksana Kindzer. Oksana Kindzer. Meet Jaylin. She feels like she's supposed to be the person that everyone is telling her to be. Don't let anyone tell you who to be. This is Jaylin. Instead, follow your heart and let it be. The ones who are true will love you for you. Who do you think loves her for her? You think it's her mommy? I think her mommy loves her for who she is. Find yourself in everything you do. Passion and joy come naturally once you find what brings life to you. Whether it be writing, singing, dancing, swinging, helping others, painting, cheering, counseling, studying, hiking, biking, planting, that's one of my favorites, rescuing, praying, or playing, studying a new language, jumping rope, catching frogs, playing video games, watching favorite shows. Find what means the most to you. Follow your heart. Discover who you truly are. The beginning instead of the end. And this is by Oneness Love Publishing. You can see the little logo there and a picture of Jessi here. And she is just a rock star. She's a super stellar person to know. I'm getting to know her through Facebook and really enjoying her. Thank you, Jessi, for sending us your book. Sending me your book. Us? TeaFairy and friends. Yes, okay, us. There is an us. Sometimes I will have friends that are going to be sending in videos of things that they do, which is kind of interesting. Like one of them is a mad scientist, and she's going to send us some cool mad science projects. And another one is a music teacher, and he has a friend that is an alien that's visiting the planet and is really interested about noise. So we're going to try to get him on the show too. And you just never know who might pop in. Hi, kitties! Gregoire the Great here. Let's see what TeaFairy's friends are up to today. Hi, Rex here with a Rex moment, and I want to introduce my friend, author Jessi Hersey. Hi, Jessi.
Hi, Rex.
Thank you so much for sending in who you are. Tell me a little bit about your book and why you wrote it, or what inspired you.
Honestly, what inspired me to write Who You Are is I had an experience in my life of people telling me who to be, and I know kids experience that their whole lives in some sense or another. And I really wanted to have a book out there that encouraged kids to listen to what's in their heart versus what everyone else is telling them or what the negative voice in their head is telling them to do.
I like that. My parents used to tell me that I was supposed to be tough and mean because I'm a dragon. But really, I'm kind of friendly and nice, and I like hugs.
Oh, I like that.
So what else do you like to do, Jessi?
On my free time, I like to go on hikes. I like to read books, and I work as a paraeducator during the day.
What's a paraeducator?
Paraeducator is like a assistant to the teacher. So whatever the teacher needs in that moment in the classroom, I am there to support the teacher.
So not quite a teacher's pet, like I would be.
Yeah, not quite, but kind of like just the support system, because everyone needs that. But paras have a lot of different titles. There's also assistant teacher that is still the same thing as a para.
Okay, I understand now. So are you working on more books in the future?
Yes, I actually have the second one in the works right now. The same artist who did Who You Are is doing the second one, continuing Jalen's story.
I love the illustrations. They're very bright and colorful.
Aren't they?
I was told by a little friend, little bird sort of friend, that you're going to something called a Comic-Con?
Yeah, I'm going to a Comic-Con next weekend in Colorado Springs, and it's just a place where a lot of people get together that love something in common. I'm going to be dressing up as Wanda from WandaVision, but the really, really tired Wanda, like in her sweatsuit and everything.
So, like, does everybody dress in a costume?
Some people do, some people don't. It's whatever they're feeling. Some people will dress just everyday clothes. Some people will dress up as their favorite person, whether it's from Marvel or The Lord of the Rings, or there's a big, huge mess of things they could go from.
That's so cool. Is it all grown-ups or are there kids too?
Grown-ups and kids of all ages are there.
I wonder if I could dress up as something like maybe a hobbit.
You could totally dress up as a hobbit.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
I have to try that someday and go to a Comic-Con.
Yeah, Comic-Cons are fun.
And what else? You were telling me about some videos that you're working on your website. Can you tell us what your website is first?
My website is www.onennesslove.com. And my website, since I'm also a coach in the process of getting your work out there, whatever it may be, whether it's book, script, play, it doesn't matter what area it's at. I actually am starting a class series, which is going to be pre-recorded so anyone can watch it at any time that work's available to them. I'm going to be doing specifically children's books / poetry books geared towards kids and adults with special needs.
Well, Jessi, I just want to say thank you very much for coming and spending time with me and talking to me. I keep going off the camera, don't I? Hi. I'm still learning. This takes practice, probably like writing.
Yeah, everything takes practice.
Yep. Well, thank you very much. And I hope that you'll send us more books.
Oh, I will. I definitely will.
All right, Jessi. Bye.
Bye, Rex.
Wow. That was great. Let's check in with TeaFairy and see what story she's reading next. The next book we're going to read is by Jericho Alley, or it is called Jericho Alley, and it is written by Colodney and illustrated by Oksana Kindzer. I hope Miles is able to come today, Jello thought, snuggling closer against the warm leg of his friend Sam. Sometimes, on the coldest of days, he could depend on Miles for a warm meal. This is Jello, and this is Miles. He and Miles had been friends for a long time, before Sam and the brown truck. Oh, wait, this must be Miles. I'm a little confused. We'll find out. Before Sam and the brown truck, when they lived with the nice old woman who was sick a lot. After she was gone, their journey along the noisy road led them to Jericho Alley. It's going to be too cold to stay in the alley tonight, Miles warned before climbing into the brown truck. You and Sam should go to the shelter. Sam won't stay there without me, Jello said. He looked curiously at the empty place where Sam had been. Do you know where he went? Miles waved to him. I saw him at the bakery. See, there's the bakery. Who likes to go to the bakery? I like to go to the bakery. At the bakery, Jello called to Miss Anna Lee as her car passed by. Have you seen Sam? It's getting colder, and I'm hoping he will go to the shelter tonight. Miss Anna Lee pretended not to hear him. She didn't remember her life before she lived with little dark-haired girl in the big warm house. Jello barked at the bakery door until it was opened by his friend Nate. Has Sam been here? Yes, Nate answered. Check the alley where the church bus parks. They are giving out blankets. He handed a small bag to Jello. It's not much, but you won't be hungry tonight. This guy, Nate, he looks like he's a, what are they called? Saint Bernard. He's got the jug around his throat. Uh-oh, the pages are sticking together. There we go. Does that happen to you? Do your pages stick together sometimes? Jello made his way cautiously to the darkest part of the alley. Sam, he called. Oh, he's not here. A deep voice called from inside a fortress made of wrinkled cardboard boxes. Did Sam come by this way? Jello asked his friend Trevor. Yes, Trevor answered. He dropped off some food but left to take the rest to Dame Emma at the library. Jello looked anxiously at Trevor's fake paw. Is it hurting? Look, Trevor's got a fake paw. At first, he didn't answer. Instead, he arched his back so that the fur wrinkled around his neck like a collar. It's worse than when it's cold. You want me and Sam to stay with you tonight? Jello asked. I was a Marine, Jello. I'll be fine, Trevor answered before disappearing into his cardboard shelter. Hope you find Sam before it gets any colder. And see, here's our friend who has the prosthetic leg. Jello walked gently down the icy steps to the side entrance of the library. Dame Emma, are you home? I've nowhere else to go, purred a soft voice from under the steps. There's Dame Emma. She's a kitty cat. Jello stepped over several old books and pushed his body close against the wall, away from the cold. You've more books than anyone I know, Dame Emma, Jello said. I loved working in the library with all the children, she smiled. Jello pointed to the crushed bakery bag discarded close by. Did Sam say where he was going next? Oh, he said he had to stop at the post office, she answered, looking outside as the snow fell thick on the sidewalk. He was going to stop by that new shelter to see if there was room tonight for you both. Most shelters won't allow pets, Jello said sadly before adding, Sam won't stay there without me, even though I wish he would. Making his way back towards Jericho Alley, he studied how best to persuade Sam to spend the night in the shelter. He stopped at the corner and watched as the familiar yellow bus made its way towards him until it came to a stop and a little girl stepped off. "Are you alone?" she asked so faintly he almost didn't hear her speak. Jello watched as the little girl's hands shook, her legs weakened, and she stumbled before finally falling onto the snow-covered sidewalk. Frantically, Jello ran back towards town, towards the hardware store where the little girl sometimes played while her father was at work. Jello danced wildly and barked loudly outside the glass door until the man finally followed him from the store and back to the bus stop. Uh-oh, my pages are sticking again. "Peyton!" her father cried out as soon as he was close enough to see her small form lying on the sidewalk. Gently, he collected her in his arms and waved at an approaching police car for help. "Thank you," he called to Jello before climbing into the back seat of the car and disappearing. Even though Jello was worried about Peyton, he continued his search. It was getting colder and the snow was getting deeper. He had to get Sam to the shelter for the night. The only place left to look was the post office. Jello squeezed his body through the vent until he popped into the basement of the post office. Within seconds, Daisy was out of her rabbit hole to investigate the ruckus. "Goodness," Daisy cried. "You scared me, Jello." Before he could answer, she busied herself rearranging the photos and trinkets that had fallen to the ground. "Have you seen Sam?" he asked once he finished resting the pictures. "He mailed a letter to his son in the city," Daisy answered. "The new shelter doesn't allow pets. He was going back to Jericho Alley for the night." Jello slid out of the entrance back into the cold. "Make sure you stay inside where it's warm." Daisy smiled, promising that she would. Jello was nearly back to Jericho Alley when he heard Peyton's father call to him. Anxious for news of Peyton, Jello stopped and waited, hoping to learn Peyton was okay. Jello liked the way Peyton's father knelt down and rubbed behind his ears. "I wanted to thank you for helping Peyton," he said. "She's a diabetic and requires medication to control her blood sugar. It dropped too low and made her sick." He pulled himself to his feet. "Because you were there, she's going to be fine." He buttoned his jacket completely to his chin. "You want a warm place for the night, boy?" Jello backed away from him, knowing he couldn't leave Sam all alone. Peyton's father motioned to the warm car parked close by. "Come on, boy," he urged. "It's too cold. Get in the car." From a garage across the street, an older man called out, "I don't think he'll go without Sam." "Sam?" Peyton's father repeated. "Over there in the alley," the man answered, pointing towards Jericho Alley. Peyton's father followed Jello into the alley. "Sam?" he asked, moving deeper into the alley, where Sam was resting under several old dirty blankets. "How would you fellows like a warm bed for the night?" Jello loved the warm house where he lived with his friends and Peyton's family. He'd never thought of himself as lucky before, but he knew how richly he'd been blessed. He loved the small bed he sometimes shared with Peyton and the big one where Sam slept. Jello enjoyed helping with the chores for his new family. Dame Emma and Daisy took turns with him helping change Trevor's bandages and watching over Peyton. He had learned how to predict when Peyton's blood sugar was out of range and barked to alert her parents that she needed help. His life was full with clean, warm beds to sleep in, along with plenty of food to eat and water to drink. He spent his mornings with Sam and his friends from Jericho Alley, and his afternoons with Peyton. But his favorite time of the day was just after dinner and the chores were done. He'd sit outside with Sam and snuggle against the warmth of his leg, grateful for all he'd been given. And that is the end of Jericho Alley. And it is a Kingston Publishing Company, and you can find them at www.kingstonpublishing.com. And I just want to thank the author, Lisa Colodney, for sending this in. Very special book, a good story about helping people that maybe are down on their luck, or dogs that are down on their luck. Welcome to my friend Lisa. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Hi, everyone.
you wrote a book that we just finished reading, and it's called Jericho Alley.
Yes, I did. I had a great time writing it.
I am so appreciative that you sent it in. I know TeaFairy really enjoyed it. Can you tell us a little bit about the story and what inspired you to write it?
Sure. So the story is about a homeless dog. His name is Jello. And he lives on the street with his friend Sam, a human friend Sam. And they have a whole bunch of colorful friends that also live on Jericho Alley. They have a cat and a rabbit and another dog. Is a German Shepherd with a prosthetic paw. And they all kind of take care of each other, and they live on Jericho Alley. And there's a storm coming, and that they're kind of all hurrying to find shelter out of the cold and find someplace warm with a warm food and warm bed for the night. Sam can go to the shelter from men and women, but Jello can't go. And Jello can go to the shelter for doggies, but Sam can't go. So they do a lot of stressing out about it, kind of wondering what they're going to do. And then they kind of find an alternative plan, which involves the kindness of a stranger who comes upon them and offers not only him and Jello a home, but all their friends as well. So it's a very happy story about folks who live in a different manner than maybe some of us do, and just talks a lot about how those acts of kindness, how important those are and what a difference they make.
I love that people do acts of kindness. I think that that's really an important thing.
I do too. And what inspired me was my daughter, who is 16 years old now. So she just started driving, but when she was little, like most of you, I took her with me on a business trip, and we had the very great fortune of staying at a hotel, a very nice hotel. And it was cold, it was chilly, it was kind of windy and rainy outside. It was like 30, 35, 40 degrees. So everybody had their mittens and their hats and their coats and everything on. And when we came back from dinner, there was an elderly woman who was sleeping on a bench, like a bus bench outside of the hotel. And my daughter, who was about 4, maybe 5 years old at the time, so probably the age of some of you, she was very concerned about this little woman, and she just didn't understand why the little woman didn't go home. Why doesn't she go home, mommy? Why doesn't she just go home, mommy? And I kept trying to explain to my daughter's name is Samantha, that some folks weren't as fortunate as we are, and they found themselves in certain situations where they just quite frankly didn't have a home to go to. And that's kind of how she had found herself. So luckily we watched the little woman through the window most of the night. And then finally a very nice police officer came by with lots of blankets and gathered her up and took her home to a shelter. But it kind of prompted me to start thinking about, I'm sure a lot of you guys have those type of questions when you see people out on the streets and, they're sitting on steps and they're asking for money or asking for food, or, they've got all of their belongings with them. So I just kind of wanted to explain, how that happens. And then again, how important these acts of kindness, really are.
I agree. I have friends that sometimes they have to sleep in trees and places that people normally don't sleep.
Right. So it's sad, but we can all do something to make it better, right?
Yeah, but that's kind of the life of a dragon too, is we like to sleep outdoors. So are there other things that you do other than write children's books that you're passionate about?
Yes, I am a healthcare provider. So that means that I take care of sick people. I'm a pharmacist. So if you go and you don't feel well and you see your doctor and they give you a prescription and you go to Walgreens or CVS or Kroger or one of those type of pharmacies, I will help you with and if you in a hospital, we also have pharmacists in hospitals as well. So I kind of deal with your medications to help make you better. And then the other thing that I'm very passionate about is when I was very young, my mother and I started collecting Barbie dolls. And I bet some of you have some Barbie dolls at home. Dragon shaking his head, yes. So my mother and I started collecting Barbie dolls when I was about 15 or 16, and I'm way older than that now. And I bet none of you can guess how many I have. How many of you think I have more than 100? More than 300? More than 500? I actually have like 1,000 Barbie dolls up in my dog collector room, all different sizes, all different colors. My mom is not with me anymore, but I sure do enjoy collecting still. So I have a lot of Barbie dolls.
Wow, that's just amazing. Maybe you can send some pictures of your Barbie collection that we can put
I
in.
actually made a video for you, Mr. Dragon, that I'm going to send to you with me in the room, kind of taking you on a little tour of our Barbie room.
Hi, my name is Lisa, and in addition to writing books like Jericho Alley and Mrs. Abrams' Everything Garden, I also love to collect Barbie dolls. So if you can see behind me, you'll see that I have quite a few there, and I'm going to take you on a little walk in a second and let you see some others. But I started collecting dolls, believe it or not, when I went away to college. And the first couple of ones I bought were just to kind of make me feel comfortable in my dorm. And then I went back home and I got all the dolls that I had when I was a child, and I started collecting them. And years later, here's what we have. So let me just kind of show you kind of what we got. We'll walk over here and we'll see some of these. We'll try to stay away from the window so it gets really light. So here's a whole room just right there. One of my most favorite ones is, if you're familiar with a show called The X-Files, I loved that show. And right up here, I have my Mulder and Scully Barbie, one of my favorites. I have a lot of that stuff too. I also have Michael Jackson, who's not actually Barbie, but this side of the room is kind of the celebrity dolls. So if you want to kind of back over here, you'll see Bill Clinton, you'll see Grace Kelly, Dolly Parton. Up there I have from Dynasty, Joan Collins. We have Donnie and Marie down here. If you know who Donnie Osmond and Marie Osmond are, they're kind of down here. So lots of celebrity dolls, lots of Barbie dolls. I have over 1,000, just so you know. I don't want to show if you can see over here or not, the windows there, but most of the older ones are kind of lined up here. You can see some of them like that. But Blossom is on the celebrity side, as is Lucy. So basically I have, like I said, almost a little over 1,000. All kinds of ceramic to big ones. Have one about 4 feet tall. I have little tiny ones that go on the trees. All kinds of Barbie dolls. So I hope you enjoyed it.
I love that. How exciting. I used to make clothes for Barbies. It was fun.
My mom did too when I was little. I still have some of them actually on some of the dolls upstairs in the room.
How fun. Well, that's a neat thing that your mom and you did it together. I love it when moms and dads and their kids have activities that they do together.
We had a great time doing it. And my daughter, I'm not sure she's going to enjoy it as much, but I think she will when she gets a little bit older. But right now she's just like, oh, that room, Mom, that room. But I think she likes that room.
How old is your daughter?
She was 16 in February, so she just got a car. So she's all over the place, but she's kind of into them, but not really.
Not so little anymore.
She likes to hear the stories, but I don't know that she'll take as good a care of them as I have.
Well, I am so grateful that you were able to come on the show and spend a few moments with us, and I look forward to watching the video. And I guess that's about it for today, folks. I hope that you have a really wonderful day. I hope you get outside and enjoy the sun. And tune in next time for episode 4. We'll be reading some more fun books from authors all over the world. Bye.